Today I'm going to be telling y'all how I set up my sister and her husband. So we moved from Washington State to Tennessee back in like 2020. Me and my sister have a 9-year age gap, so she was like 20 and I was 11. So when we moved here, my dad started a pro-life ministry, and there's this piano player, her future husband. And I actually met him first. So what happened is their worship team came to our church back in Washington State, so we all traveled back to Washington State. And we were going to Olive Garden after the service, but there's not enough seats in the car, so I ended up having to ride in the trunk with him and my little brother. I was like low-key scared, and then the first thing he even said to me, like, didn't ask me my name, no, he was just like, oh, my dad's name backwards is Dot. Oh. Anyways, we started talking, and I had this thought, wait, Loki, my sister? I kind of started like mentioning her subtly, and then we get to Olive Garden, and I tell my mom the idea. And she was like, oh my gosh, you should show him a picture of her and be like, this is my sister. And I was like, heck no, that'd literally be so weird and random. But she was like, I'll give you $25. I will definitely do that for $25, especially as like a 12-year-old. So I ended up walking up to him and just showing him the picture and saying, this is my sister. And he said, cool. Like, that's all he said. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's that. So we all fly back to Knoxville. And then a few months later, we do a worship service in Knoxville, Tennessee. My sister is like the camera person. Nolan is playing the piano. So they started talking a little bit, and then we went out to eat, and I left my sister to go sit next to him because he was like funny, and I didn't want to be with like all the boring adults, you know. And then after dinner, Karis is kind of like, bro, Loki, and I was like, you have to follow him on Instagram. And then she was like scared. She's at that point, I think I just like took her phone and did it. So we were all like screaming, freaking out, like so exciting. And then he didn't accept it till we got home, and it was like a 40-minute drive, so she was like depressed. Because that's just how girls are. So then after that, Nolan, her now husband, started posting a heck ton of stuff, and you could tell it was like geared towards her. And she was like, I'm not gonna slide into his DMs first. But then he posted one about Washington State, and Karis just couldn't resist. So she slid into his DMs, and they started talking. Then the first date, she was so excited and nervous. I helped her pick her outfit, of course. Then they went on a few dates, and everything was just going great. So they started officially dating, and then 5 months after they met, they got engaged. A little side note, I literally have a screenshot of a DM I sent to my brother that was like, I know who Karis is gonna marry. It's this piano player, blah, blah, blah. Like, before they started talking or anything, so. And then they got married 2 months after they had gotten engaged. So they literally met, and then 7 months later were married. And then it was about a year when their first kid came along, Magnolia. I'm her favorite aunt, by the way. And now they have 2 little girls who are so precious. And another thing I think is super cool is they never dated anyone before each other. And they were both like older too. But that is the story of how I set up my sister and her husband.